So we're going to talk about the importance of mentorship. So obviously you're in this training program, so you already have you already have a step up above the average person. Why? Because most people don't actually recognize the value of that. And I'm somebody who would be kind of considered, if somebody were to look at me from the outside, an outside perspective would look at me almost like a lone wolf. I've followed my own path, I do my own things. However, I've always believed in mentors, always. And that is something, you can have a mentor that's not even in your life, and that's somebody you choose to follow, somebody that's a role model, somebody that's there. So for a person like myself who had a very confusing kind of family environment, different upbringing, different things, that was confusing, I sought out mentors from other sources. So that's, the books I chose to read, the things I chose to put in my head, that those things all shape us, because what the thoughts that are in our head and that internal dialogue actually comes from the things we put into our head. So if you already have your family around impacting you in a certain way, and then society, and then everything else, and then then you're watching, just useless videos on social media, useless, meaning you're not really being aware of what you're watching or what you're following or the intentions behind it, that can actually be very detrimental, because you're choosing to follow those people. So whether you recognize it or not, if you're following people, if you're doing it, you're recognizing that they're mentoring you in some way, because it's like almost like a social acceptable thing. And people, it's funny because I had some people even say, like, they watch these videos almost like back in the day, like watching Jerry Springer, different things. It was like entertainment, and I was like, oh, wait, but so you can place judgment too, though, when you watch these shows or watch these things that are like crazy and dramatic and people are being ridiculous. It's a way for you watch, and then it's like judging, well, at least my life's not that messed up, right? So it's like a benchmark for comparison. But understand that all of the things that you watch and that you see have an impact in your brain, and affects you, it affects your mentality, and that changes your brain chemistry, and that actually changes your behavior and the things that you do. So you have to be cautious of the things that go in your mind, because why? If you tell me who you follow, who your heroes are, I can predict your future. Of course I can, because that's the advice you're getting. That's the things you're getting, right? Like, if you want to grow hair, are you going to go ask a bald man? Right? It like, so often, it's so funny. It's traditionally in families and stuff too, is that, you could hear a great idea or something, and you believe it makes sense. You go to something, you're like, yeah, I believe, you follow and you're like, that would be great. And the person speaking has those things. Let's say you go to a motivational conference, and there's a motivational speaker or whatever talking about finances and changing their future, and they've done it, and they're already living it, and they have their success story, and they're telling you, I have a method for you, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense, I could do that, I'm excited about that. Then what traditionally happens, they speak to either a spouse, a family member, a relative, or something that says, oh, that wouldn't work, that's a bad idea, and talks them out of that idea. Think about this logically, though. Who has the knowledge that would get that? So if this speaker has the knowledge that this is what they've done, this is what they've created, this is who they are, they have the knowledge. If you turn to the advice of your family members, who doesn't have what you want, they don't have what you want. You believe, though, because you're in a relationship with them of some kind, whatever dynamic that is, that they have your best interests at heart because of love, but maybe their reaction is out of their fear. They can only educate you and provide you advice based on their knowledge. So if they don't have what you want, they're not the right person for advice. But what gets complicated is because you're in a relationship dynamic with them. And that's why so many people actually don't achieve their goals or anything, is because of the complicated dynamics of the people that are around them. So do you have the courage to find your own path, your path, and find your mentors and discover what you want? Because that's where you want to get the advice from people that have what you want, not from people who just are around you and they've been in your life. That's actually how you sabotage your future and your goals. Very, very much so. That's 99% of people. That's what's common. And that's very dangerous. So understanding the role models we choose, there's a video about role models and everything like that too, is very, makes a huge difference. But that mentorship and that coaching and that guide, but I want you to be aware of everything that goes inside your brain, and that doesn't mean I'm a Halloween queen. Okay, I love Halloween over Christmas because I had a traumatic life. So for me, Halloween is like an art, almost like a healing and costumes and design and all that. I like it. So I can watch a horror movie, and I like that because to me it's almost like a little bit of an outlet and a release, and that's what I enjoy. That's not for everybody, but I have a weird sense in my brain, so it's like an outlet for me to go, especially if I'm angry or if I'm whatever. But if I was to surround myself with that all the time, that would also have a negative impact, because then it's like darkness and cold, like, whatever, all the time. There has to be like a balance of that light and that in between, because it would impact my brain, right? So you have to be able to be so self-aware. This is why I enjoy it. This is what I like about it. But I say Halloween horror movies, or not horror, like psychological thrillers or different things. So I had like a traumatic past, so it's almost like I didn't even realize when I was watching so many of these like psychological, screwed up movies and stuff. It was because it was actually taking me back to my like past. And for people that haven't been, in trauma situations, and then they're attracted to these things, maybe somewhere deep down, remember, our brains are millions of years old, that it's almost triggering something. We're attracted to the things in a unique way, but understand that if our heads are in that space all the time, then it could actually have an effect on us, is what I'm saying. So it's why it's important to balance that out. So who are you following? Who are you following on a regular basis in general, like advice? Right? That's why news can be detrimental, because people think, oh, that's the be all end all. But if you don't understand who owns a news network and how that news gets filtered to you, then you're going to have a harder time processing and understanding. You have to get to a point of free thinking completely, where you understand where information comes from. And that's a whole different level of thinking. So I really want you to get a clearer understanding, because as we move towards the next stages, right, and then developing your success plan, if afterwards, this program, where we're teaching you how to build goals or dreams to goals and all of that, but there's so many different areas of that. So if you're like, I want to have more targeted focus on me, specifically on getting me to my goals, I want to get to the next stage of developing further, I want to make money online, whatever it is, we can take you on a different mentorship path to get you there faster with that. And that's a support aspect on mentorship. And that's one aspect. Another aspect could be that you need to find another, okay, now that you have this base, maybe you want to find somebody else, right, outside of these programs, and go, okay, I can see myself doing that. Well, then you need to be following those type of people, and it's worth investing in their programs and their things, because they'll get you to the next level. You get what you pay for, and knowledge is so important. It's so important, because that's what's shaping you. So if you want to be able to be free thinking in who you are, but you also want to be very, very selective of the information that goes into your head, because that shapes you, and that's your choice. So anyone who says that they don't believe in mentors or coaches are scary people to me. They're scary people to me, because I'm like, then where you think you're the be all end all and know everything, and then you're not making an actual effort of choosing the type of people that are in your head, and that's dangerous. That's dangerous, because then you're just taking anyone's advice. I wouldn't want to do that.